Mm, 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 mm. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I want to thank you today for your time and your attention. It is Wednesday, and we are returning to our reading. We are in need of getting our IG back up to 1,000 followers. That is our goal. And they don't talk about this out. And this is my IG page, Reach Shante. We are maybe 25, 30 people away from 1,000 followers. And that would enable us to be able to go live. We are 55 people away from 1,000 followers. That would enable us to have another space to go live and have our dialogue. Currently, something is going on with YouTube that is not allowing me to bring people on for my chat. So that is part of the point of Daring Dialogues, is to be able to chop it up and have conversation. So Pastor Ben, what I want to do this morning, because YouTube is blocking us from chatting, I'm going to go live on Black Table Talk, and I will do our chop it up on Black Table Talk today. So, um, yeah, I think I want to do that. But today we are talking about relationships, and it is Wednesday, and we are moving on in our chapters, and we are still talking about identifying and communicating your boundaries. Identifying and communicating your boundaries. So let's get into it. We're only reading from one book today, and our talk back today, Pastor Ben, on Black Table Talk, does not necessarily have to cover this reading. So we can talk what's currently happening. But of course, we have to be mindful because on the Meta platform, we already know they're targeting people. I've had somebody, one of my friends, had a visit from the three-letter alphabet people. They showed up at his doorstep. So on the Meta platform, you have to be aware that anything you say at this point can put you in the direct harm's way of the three-letter people. So yeah, that's what's happening over on the Meta platform. Yeah. So when we do the talk back over there, just be mindful. If you're going to go into what's happening politically, just be mindful that they are essentially the Gestapo digital police. In case anybody else didn't know that, that's where we are right now in the United States. However, because this is Relationship Wednesday, over here, we are reading from Set Boundaries and Find Peace. We're going to read for the next 15, 20 minutes. And then, as I said, we're going to transfer over to, we will be over on Black Table Talks page. So if you don't follow me on Facebook, go follow me now, Black Table Talk. And we'll be doing the second half of this broadcast over there. All right. So today's topic is identifying and communicating your boundaries. Working on boundaries means also working on your ability to be assertive. Share your boundaries without being passive, without being manipulative, without being aggressive or passive aggressive. If you want to set healthy boundaries, you must do so assertively. So, how to successfully communicate a boundary? Be assertive and follow these three easy, well, maybe not so easy, but doable steps. The writer here says, my favorite Julia Roberts movie is Pretty Woman. She plays Vivian, a sex worker who falls for one of her clients, Edward, a businessman. He's charming, she's skeptical. Outside, people get into both of their heads to try to stop their budding romance. But in the end, love prevails and they live happily ever after, or so we thought. Vivian isn't intimidated by the fact that Edward has more money than she does. She maintains the standard she set for herself. One of my favorite lines is when Vivian says, I say who, I say when, and I say how much. She sets boundaries, and when people don't adhere to them, she honors them by leaving the situation. Step number 1, be clear. Do your best to be as straightforward as possible. Mind your tone, don't yell or whisper. People will miss the boundary if you use complicated words or jargon. Take a deep breath and focus on being precise with your boundary. Step number 2, directly state your need or request or say no. Don't just mention what you don't like. Ask for what you need or want. Identify your expectations or decline the offer. Here are a few examples of step 1 and 2 blended together. A friend asks you to go to a party, but you don't want to go. Thanks for the invite, but I'll sit this one out. You're tired of hearing your friend complain about work. Listen, I get that your job is frustrating. I want you to consider talking to someone in human resources or meeting with someone through your employee assistance program to talk about your frustrations. Your mother gossips to you about your brother's new girlfriend. I don't feel comfortable talking about her in this way. I want you to be pleasant toward her because your son likes her. Your partner frequently mentions your weight gain. I don't like it when you talk about my weight. Please stop. Eric had a difficult time identifying boundaries that he wanted to set. In talking through his family issues, he realized that he needed to set them not just with his father, but also his mother and brother. Because he talked to his mom most often, he started with her first. He began by setting a boundary about what bothered him the most. When I talk about my issues with Dad, I want you to listen without defending him. Eric felt guilty for setting the limit with his mother, and he worried that future encounters might feel awkward. At our next session, however, Eric reported that his relationship with her had improved. He also set a new boundary with his brother. Please stop picking fights with Dad at the family gatherings. At first, his brother denied that he was being aggressive, but eventually they had a good talk about how they'd both been impacted by their father's drinking. Eric knew he would need more time to focus what he'd say to his father. That would be the most difficult conversation for him. Step number 3, which leads us to dealing with the discomfort that happens as a result of setting boundaries is the hardest part. Discomfort is the number one reason we want to bypass setting boundaries in the first place. It's common afterward to feel guilty, afraid, sad, remorseful, or awkward. Guilt. The question I'm asked the most often, the writer says, is how do I set boundaries without feeling guilty? There is no such thing as guilt-free boundaries. Guilt is a part of this process. It typically happens as a result of thinking that what you're doing is bad or harmful. It comes from your programming about telling people what you need or want. Because so many times, most of us are programmed that other people's needs should come before our own. And when we don't put other people's needs before our own, especially in this current society, that is seen as a no-no. You're typically supposed to serve everybody else before you serve yourself, even to the point of your detriment, which is not good. From the moment many of us were born, we're made to feel guilty for having wants and needs. Some adults care for children by forcing them to ignore their boundaries. Unintentionally, caregivers may force children to do things like hug adults they don't want to hug. When children don't comply with the demands of their caregivers, they're told, you're being mean, or that's not nice. Telling children they're bad or mean for not complying with a request is manipulative. In these small acts, we begin to teach children that they should feel guilty for attempting to honor their own boundaries. This often carries into adulthood. Good morning. For example, an adult says, "Hug me." The child says, "I don't want to give you a hug." Then the adult says, "Well, I'm going to feel sad if you don't." The intention is to evoke guilt. Some children are trained to be seen and not heard. They're taught that asking for what they want or having healthy boundaries is disrespectful. As adults, they find it difficult to shed this outdated way of thinking. You might be called a troublemaker or the difficult one as a result. But the bottom line is that it's okay to ask for what you want. Stating your needs is healthy, and you can speak up for yourself without being disrespectful. And the general notion is you have to start this when children are young. Children should be allowed to speak up for themselves without people saying it's disrespectful. Now, you might coach a child on how to speak up for themselves so that they can be heard, but shutting children down altogether is actually pretty dangerous because you are now grooming them to be manipulated in the future. And unfortunately, a lot of adults don't seem to get that, but that's where we are. Guilt isn't a limitation to setting boundaries, it's a feeling. And like all feelings, guilt will come and go. Try not to treat your guilt like the worst thing ever. Instead, embrace it as part of a complicated process, just one piece, not the entirety of the experience. So, how do you deal with guilt when it's present? Feel it, but don't focus on it. Over focusing on emotions just prolongs them. You can carry on while still feeling guilty. Have you ever been excited about something? Of course you have. You didn't stop everything because of the excitement you felt. You didn't miss work. You didn't stay in bed all day. You did whatever was usually on your agenda, but you felt excited all day doing it. You can also carry on with your life while feeling feelings of guilt, even when you know that you're doing the right thing for yourself. If you feel guilty for doing the right thing for yourself and holding your boundaries, here are some reminders. It's healthy for you to have boundaries. Other people have boundaries that you respect. Setting boundaries is a sign of a healthy relationship. If boundaries can ruin a relationship, your relationship was on the cusp of ending anyway. Finally, if guilt is bothering you, engage in your favorite self care practice. Do a few grounding techniques like meditation or yoga. Fear. With fear, we assume the worst. Clients say they're going to act weird and I'll feel awkward, or I may not hear from them again when I try to set this boundary. Of course, we have no way of knowing how somebody is going to respond to our assertiveness. When someone has a history of rage or anger, it's understandable that we would avoid setting limits with that person. But we victimize ourselves further when we let fear prevent us from doing what we need to do. When making our expectations known, we worry about saying the right thing. The right thing is a matter of stating what we need through assertiveness. In the case of Eric, we went over hypothetical scenarios as to how his father might respond. Eric feared the worst, his father yelling, name calling, hitting walls. After all, his dad had gone into rages in the past for lesser things. Eric could not think of a time when anyone had imposed any boundaries on his dad. Still, he acknowledged that his mother had imposed house rules that his father abided by, such as taking his shoes off at the door, not smoking in the house, going to church on Sundays. He hadn't thought of these as boundaries that his father had accepted. He could think of other rules that he adhered to at work, in social situations, and with other members of his family. These realizations allowed him to see that his dad was capable of honoring limits when he wanted to do so. Sadness. I just want to be nice. I hear this from so many people. I feel sad because we assume that setting a boundary will hurt someone's feelings. We assume that people will be unable to handle it, but this is also worst case scenario thinking. Bear in mind, too, that you have no way to guess how someone else feels, so wait for them to tell you. Sometimes you might feel sad because you've wanted people to be in your life who just get it and just self correct, who understand your needs, even though you haven't stated them directly. But when someone puts you in a position of having to enforce a boundary, you may not feel cared for in that relationship. And then, of course, there's feelings of remorse. Did I say the wrong thing or was it too much? We wonder if we went too far, came across harshly, or even alienated the other person entirely. Immediately after stating our boundary, we may think, what did I just say? It's true that words cannot be unsaid. However, expressing something that's difficult can also save and improve your relationships. Be brave, state your boundary, because it could change your life in numerous positive ways. So think of it this way: what if something good happens when you state your boundary? What if your relationship grows stronger? What if your friendship grows closer? Another feeling: awkwardness. Things are going to be weird. This is a common worry when people are setting boundaries. Remind yourself, just act normal. Stay grounded in the understanding that setting your boundaries does not make you a bad person, but a healthy one. Recognize that you have done something good for yourself. Do what you would typically do in the relationship. If you talk to the person daily, call them the next day. Don't you be the person making it awkward. Assuming that the energy between you will become weird will create the exact uncomfortable tone that you wanted to avoid. So assume that people will honor your boundaries when you state them and act accordingly. Ways to communicate your boundaries. If you are in a current relationship, identify the areas in which you need limits. State your needs clearly. Don't explain yourself or provide a detailed story about what's behind your request. Be consistent in upholding your own boundary and restate your needs when necessary. If you're jumping into a new relationship, mention what you want casually in conversation as you're getting to know people. Have an open discussion about why having your needs met is important to you. Be clear about your expectations. The first time someone violates your boundary, let them know that a violation has occurred, and then restate your needs as much as needed. So, next time when we read from this book, we'll be talking about having boundaries with difficult people. Mm, mm, mm. I just want to say that because of the boundaries I now have in my life, I have less difficult people in my life because some of the difficult people made their exit, and I didn't have to make an exit for them. They just made their exit. Um, I will say that as I am meeting new people, I do feel like it's imperative for me to um, state my boundaries, as she said, to make it clear um, what kind of relationship I want to have with people, um, to let people know that, hey, I don't consider myself a high maintenance friend. I don't have a lot of high maintenance friendships because of my neurodivergence. I'm just being honest. Um, there may be times where I'm not a phone call person. Most people know that about me. I will probably answer a text faster than I would a phone. I know that I communicate better in writing a lot of times than talking. I know that's hard to believe, right? But I communicate much better in writing. So if I need to address something, I will address it by writing and then I will follow up a lot of times with people verbally communicating, but I like to get my thoughts out in writing first. Um, so yeah, I think a part of holding and having good boundaries is knowing yourself, knowing what moves you, and knowing the kind of relationship that you want to have with people. Um, I would say I don't have a lot of super, super, super close relationships, and I'm okay with that. Whereas I see some people that have like huge friend groups, and everybody in the group is like super close, and everybody knows everybody's everything. I'm not trying to be funny, but me holding all of that information about somebody in my brain is just not going to happen. Like, I want to honor you as a person. I do want to get to know you, but if you're expecting me to know everything about you like I'm a parent to you, it's probably not going to happen. Um, I am, I feel like I am trying to work on being more communicative to friends that I've had for a very long time. Um, I'm trying to go back and just make sure that those friends are okay, check in with them. Some people I actually am doing snail mail with. I'm actually writing them in detail, and asking how they are and catching up. So I think, too, when it comes to healthy boundaries, I think as you get older and your friendships become extended, I think you should revisit your boundaries because we have changed, we've grown, we've developed as people. Life has happened, and you know your commitment to and the a level of time and attention that you can give to a relationship also could possibly change. Um, I've seen people say, the friendships that are newer in my life are experiencing more closeness with those people. And the friendships that are older in my life, I'm not as close, but we still keep in touch. So I think in those instances, I think you should evaluate and reevaluate your boundaries. And then also make sure that you're giving to your friendships what they need. Um, I have a couple of friends that they don't communicate a lot, but I'm okay with that. Like, you don't have to call me every day. You don't even have to call me every week. I have a lot of stuff going on. And so, as long as I know that, you know, I haven't done anything to offend you, you haven't done anything to offend me, we keep in touch, we call each other, we send each other cards, we check in with each other's life and abilities and happenings. Um, I feel like I feel like that's a decent friendship, you know. Um, Obviously, I look at a friendship of a best friend or your marital partner is going to be a lot closer than just your friends in general. But again, I think that that is something that you can review depending on the length of your friendship. Um, People who I've been friends with for 10, 15, 20 years, like if I need something, they will check in with me and they will say, "Hey, is everything going on? Are you good?" Um, Even when I've had difficult things happen, maybe openly online, I'll get people that I've known them for decades. They will call and say, "Hey, I saw this going on online. I saw this conversation. Are you okay? Are you good?" These are not people that I, call every day, but I know that they're solid people. They know me and I know them. And I feel like everybody needs those kind of friends in their life where they know that that person is just there. Like if anything goes down, they're going to ride at dawn for you. And they don't necessarily have to be in your face every day for you to know that about them. Gunner Marks. I got homies I talk to maybe once a month. I see them maybe once a year. I never feel like we miss time when we link back up. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. It's like this person is my friend and I got them. If they say something is being done to them, if they say they're in danger, I'm like, where you at? Where we got to go? Who we got to deal with? Who we got to come pick up? How much do you need? Those are the kind of friends I fool with. And I have lots of those friends that are ride and ride. I don't say ride or die, but they ride and ride. And I don't like to pull on those relationships in frivolous ways, if that makes sense. Like something really serious has to be going on or going down for me to pull on those kind of relationships because I value um, who those people are, what they have been for me, what they have meant to me. Um, these are people that know my life journey and they know my life story. These are the people that you don't have to explain yourself to them every time y'all get together. Them the kind of friends you need. I say get some of those friends. Yes, the nucleus, very good word for it. The nucleus, those nucleus friends. Treasure them, honor them, value them, check in with them, ask, are you okay? Are you good? Is all well? And those are the friendships that I check in with, I would say probably quarterly. A lot of my nucleus friends are not in the same city with me. Now that's difficult, but I know that if something went wrong, if anything went down, if something was not right, if I felt like I was in danger, I know that those people would step up and they'd be there. Um, and then, of course, you have, I would say, the friends I've met within the last 5 to 10 years that maybe I communicate with them more and I have an opportunity to connect with them physically more because they're near me as far as region. And then, of course, there's my family members. Oh my goodness. Oh, my family members. I have one uncle, he does not play. I hesitate sometimes to tell him some things that are going on because he is one of those people that's like, we ride at dawn and he doesn't care. He will get in his vehicle and within 24 hours he will be where I am and he will be addressing whatever's going on and has gone down. Um, and so yeah, there are those people that we treasure and we value them and we still hold boundaries with them too. And that's what I was saying. Yes, you hold boundaries with those people, but also renew boundaries with them. See where they are. Ask, is everything okay? Are we good? Um, to me, there's no reason why you shouldn't be refreshing your boundaries with people. And so I just think it's good practice. All right. We are heading over to our Black Table Talk page. We may or may not continue this discussion, but we probably are going to talk a little bit about the shutdown that's going on and some of the other things that are happening. On our pages, we do not say the person's name. We say felon in chief. We say 4547. We try to keep their names out of our algorithm because one thing we learned, especially on Meta, the more you talk about those people, the more you start seeing their pages and their videos coming into your algorithm. And I don't want even more fake news and alternative facts than we're already getting. So that's why we don't mention their name specifically. All right. So we're going to have the talk back again Thank you all for your time and attention in this space. Our talk back is going to be on our Facebook page in 2 minutes. Black Table Talk. Find us online, sign in, and meet us over there for the talk back. Thank you, and I'll see you there.